All right. Welcome. My name's Kilo, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Albion online public test server. We're going to show you how to get started, how to join the test server, how you can jump on and play on the test server, and then we'll get into a couple other cool features that are kind of just a lot of fun to play around with. So let's get started, and I'll show you guys right off the bat. Like, I've had people ask me questions on how to get on the test server. Well, when you start up your Albion online, you normally have your play button here. If you'll just click this little drop down box and click test server staging, you'll automatically start the download to download the latest test server, and then you can just hit play. Very simple. I have had some people ask me how to do that, so just wanted to go ahead and point that out for you guys. We are going to be talking about the new gear that came out. We're going to be talking about some of the gathering changes. There's actually quite a few gathering changes that you guys are going to want to hear. And then of course we're going to look at the new map, and then as far as gathering goes, we're going to take a look at the new stone. I've got a character parked out into one of the T8 stone zones, and we'll go take a look at that. All right. So when you join the public test server, you'll be put wherever your character was last at, and then if you are in Caerleon, then you're going to need to move to one of the other towns. Now, I personally recommend that before you really get started, you come to Limhurst, and there's a reason why I say come to Limhurst. I'll show you guys this really quick, because I know some people just will not take my word for it. Take 10 million silver. You'll be disconnected once the transfer is complete. Okay. This is new. They've added this today. This was not here yesterday. You can take an elite dungeon map. You know what? I've got to try this. Okay, I took 10 million silver. Let's log back in. Oh, look, we got 10 million silver. So you could get 10 million, disconnect, that sort of thing. All right, so you no longer have to print money, which you can print about 30 million silver at a time. Right here, we get Retroman's or Retro's candy store, right? Let me take you to the candy shop. We'll show you what we got. Before the 10 million silver, we were having to create as many of an artifact weapon as you could make, and then salvage it, which would allow us to print silver. Once you print silver, you can use that silver to upgrade gear. You can use it to re-roll the item quality on your gear if you would like to, and try to get that masterpiece, right? So anyway, we're not going to be doing that. You can also unlock your destiny board. I've seen a lot of people walk up and ask other people, hey, can you make me this, can you make me that? Walk over to the destiny board stone, unlock your destiny board. Of course, it's going to disconnect me. We'll reconnect. And then when you go to your destiny board, you'll have this wonderful destiny board with absolutely everything maxed out, right? You can craft. You are 400 to 400 and everything. So maxed out character as much as feasibly possible. Once you get there, you can come over here and start making your gear. Alright, so we're gonna make all the sets really quick, and we're gonna go over those sets. So let's go to cloth. As far as the new gear goes, they did not give us any new weapons. They did give us new armors, new boots, helmets, and chest, but they did not give us any new weapons. Now, whether or not those will come in the future, only the devs know, but we will see. What's up, Cushy? How have I been, and when did I stop being sideboard MTG? Stopped being Sideboard MTG little over a month ago. Basically, just wanted to rebrand so that I wasn't bound to Magic. I want to be able to play Magic the Gathering along with other games as well. So, you know, I like the idea of a Tezzeret. So that became the new logo for those of you wondering. A Tezzeret is an object that is constantly in motion, and I think the meta is something else that is constantly in motion. So it all just kind of fit together. Still have Magic the Gathering content, but we also now have content for other games as well. All right, so I'm going to start off here with the cloth gear. Now, first off, the cloth helmet. Oh, I needed to get a couple other things because I wanted to show you guys some stuff. So here, I'll just go with we'll go with a leather set because I found that one to be important. All right, so there's leather relic quality artifacts, and then we'll get the relic quality boots and the relic quality helmet. All right, so let's take a look at, I guess I need one that is not upgraded. As you can see, thanks to Retro Man here, we get to play around with all kinds of cool stuff. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the new gear. All right, so first off, the new helmet. Very sweet helmet. I really like the ability Avalonian Beam. If you guys have done the mage, the Avalonian mages, the ones that pop up and give season points, then you have seen this ability. Now, when the mage does it, it kind of sweeps side to side and hits everyone. It's a ton of damage, so that's something to take a look at. The helmet, it says emits a beam that deals 608 damage and interrupts enemy casting. Now, this is pretty sweet. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty sweet ability. The problem is it's on a 45-second cooldown. I'm sure you guys can see that there. 45-second cooldown. If you're wearing leather with the passive, you get that extra 5% off of it. The cooldown is reduced to 42 seconds. If you've got an amazing mist collar, you can get it down to 36, but it's still way too long to use in a fight. You're only going to get to use that interrupt one time in a fight. It does have a ton of damage on it, so that is important, but that's technically just not enough for me. I personally think that the cooldown on this is quite long. Only being able to use your helm once in a fight kind of hurts. Even Cultist Cowl, which is just a ridiculously broken helmet, doesn't have that long of a cooldown. All right, moving on to the leather or the cloth armor, and I will show you guys what this stuff looks like. Energy emission creates a 3-meter ring of energy around you for 4 seconds. Enemies entering the aura will get knocked back 12 meters, dealing 121 damage for the time of the aura. You are immune to force movement. So once you put it up, you can't be knocked back or anything like that. However, you knock everyone around you back. Now, personally, I think for healers, this could easily become the new Fiend Robe. Whereas, if you were someone like Black Hands or something like that, you may not necessarily want this as your new replacement for your Fiend Robe. But as a healer, this knocking someone 12 meters away from you, that might actually be feasible to see healers start to use this. Okay, as far as the benefits here, we get 50% damage. Now that's on par with cultist robes and mage armor, guys. So you get the total 58 if you take the passive, which again, That's cultist robes and mage armor as far as your physical and magical attack bonus. This is huge. They basically gave us another relic level item. The thing about these relic level items is they're Avalonian relics, and those Avalonian relics are technically the next tier beyond relic. So you're going to have a little bit more item power, which is going to mean a little bit more in the way of max hit points, energy, armor, resistance, things of that nature. Everything is going to be just a little bit more than what we're used to out of relic gear. Now, as far as the boots go, this one I definitely think is a little bit broken. Hover, you channel and increases your movement speed by 50%, and it grants immunity to slows and roots for up to 6 seconds. Now, you can interrupt this with almost anything. Almost anything will interrupt this ability, so I don't think that it's super overpowered, other than the fact that it's got a 10-second cooldown, which you can easily make down to 8 seconds or so. By the time it's up, you only have enough time for a couple abilities, and then it's automatically back up again, which, hate to be negative Nancy about things, but these could be the new kiting boots. That's these are pretty serious. So I am going to try to duel someone here, because I want to show you guys some of the abilities. Oh, sweet. We got a duel automatically here. That's perfect. I want to show you guys the knockback, and I want to show you guys the new boots here. All right, so he's trying to knock me back, so I'll go ahead and let him knock me back a few times there, and then we'll do a little test here on some damage. Oh, I missed. It is a skill shot, guys. You do have to aim it. So, alright, so let's use the... Oh, there we go. Nice. Nice. So, pretty cool. Let's see if we can get him to use his boots again. And if he uses his boots again, I'll see if I can interrupt it. Boots, please. He wants to see how far he can knock me. Very cool. Alright. So can't stop him from moving there, but any interrupt will interrupt the boots, which is what you would expect. See if he does it again. Alright, so see, we can interrupt the boots there. So pretty interesting. I like the new cloth armor. It has a lot of pretty sweet effects on it. If you use some Deadwater Eel Stew, I mean, you can get the cooldown on these quite low, down to 7.5 seconds on the boots. That's pretty fast, guys. Like, I'm a little bit worried, because by the time you use the boots, you wait for the cooldown, you can have a dash on a bloodletter. Do I have a bloodletter? Did I bring a bloodletter? You know what? We can get a bloodletter. Let's take a look at this. Now, granted, I mean, not everyone's going to be using 8.3 gear, but a bloodletter, as far as kiting goes, isn't going to change a lot no matter what tier it is. You're still going to have dash. You're still going to have lunging stabs. So, alright, so if we use our boots, right, then we have time to dash again. Oh, look, the boots are back up. right? That's that. Oh, hey, look, we can dash again. Hey, boots are back up. Tell me this is not going to be a new kiting method, just pure cancer. I'm a little bit worried about these and think the cooldown needs to go to about 15 seconds. As far as the helm goes, the helm is really, really sweet. I really do like the interrupt fact of the helm. It being on, a skill shot is quite nice. And I do like the fact that it's a skill shot, but because it's a skill shot, I also think that the cooldown should be even less, right? I think that, it being a skill, like if it was a guaranteed hit, I wouldn't have as much of a, an argument about it being on a 45-second cooldown. But the fact that it is a skill shot means that, hey, you miss it, you won't get another chance in a fight. The fight will long be over before you ever get another chance to use it. Now, it does give a lot of damage, and that is something to take into consideration. All right, but that's your cloth armor. So, that's pretty cool. Give me just a moment, dude. All right, next we're going to move into the plate armor here. Plate armor is pretty sweet. I like some of the new abilities on the plate armor. And, again, the plate armor is, or the plate is higher than relic quality gear. So you're going to have a little bit more HP out of it. You're going to have a little bit more resistance out of it, a little bit more energy, that sort of thing. You're not, again, like plate, with all plate, you do not get any damage bonuses or anything like that off of the base stats of the gear. But, having all of that defense is pretty sweet. Now, as far as the abilities go, you get a purifying smoke. If you've played against any of the acolytes, you know that they will put this smoke around someone. Now, this is also a skill shot. You can do it anywhere in range, and it'll just bring this little puff of smoke down. Now, this is also like a 40-second cooldown, 35-second cooldown, something like that. It's quite long. So yeah, about a 40-second cooldown there. I've got the Deadwater Eel stew on, so, and unlike World of Warcraft, I can't just click away a buff. Anyway, the purifying smoke. I know you've seen this if you've fought against any of the acolytes. What it does is it will, after 1 second, cast purifying smoke in a 4-meter radius. The smoke removes all debuffs and movement impairing effects from allies. So just a complete cleanse on your allies, while also removing all positive effects from enemies, and a purge on your enemies. Again, it's a skill shot, so you do have to aim it. And if you mess that up, then hey, you're out of luck. It's going for the next 30-35 seconds. So as far as the plate armor, the chest goes, you get requite. I'm probably pronouncing that horrible, but it's a shield. Channel a deflecting shield for up to 7 seconds. Every time you take damage, you shoot a projectile back at the enemy, which applies a debuff. The debuff reduces healing received by 10% and deals 24 magic damage per second. The debuff lasts for 6 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. Now, again, don't lock in on that damage too much. This is on an 8-3 piece of gear with a 400 spec in plate armor, so that number is going to be 17, 18 on much lower pieces of gear, maybe even 15, stacking up to 5 times. So you're probably going to be doing somewhere around 60, 75 damage based on what your spec is, and then what tier gear you're wearing. So that's something to keep in mind. But the ability's pretty sweet, and it does stop quite a bit of damage coming in. But yet the tooltip doesn't actually show you that you're gaining any resistances or anything like that. I also don't believe that it cares about whether or not you are facing in the proper direction, which is interesting. So we'll we'll see how that ends up working. We'll duel someone here in just a moment. As far as the boots go, the boots are okay. They gain 20% or you gain 20% movement speed and immunity against force movement for 2 seconds. If you get stunned, rooted, or slowed in those 2 seconds, you cleanse the CC effect and gain 120% movement speed for 4 seconds. It only blocks 1 CC. So, I mean, if you jump into a choke and, double Grove Keepers happen to hit you in that 2-second window, you're going to get stuck by the second one. However, you're going to gain 120% movement speed while you're stuck there for like 8 seconds by a Grove Keeper. That's pretty sweet. I mean, it is sweet, but it only activates if you get stunned, rooted, or slowed during those 2 seconds. So you pretty much have to time your window just absolutely perfect, and that's actually going to be fairly hard to do unless you're fighting against like Ray of Light, right? Against a bow who would like Ray of Light you or something, you might be able to actually time it at the proper time. So I mean, because you can see as the bow just did there in the background, what a coincidence, we had a bow. He shoots up into the air and then the arrow comes down on you. So you could time it, but I think the timing on this is going to make this pretty much unusable. We may see people use it, and some tanks may actually get really good at using it, but I just really don't see it being very feasible. As far as the deflecting shield, I don't necessarily know if that's going to be feasible or not. However, if you could push into a choke with deflecting shield, you would put an anti-healing debuff on quite a few different people, so maybe it's worth it, but as of right now, I don't actually think it's going to be worth it. As far as the plate helmet goes, the Purge might be the most useful out of the plate pieces of gear. If nothing else, being able to cleanse yourself would be really sweet. I personally don't know if you can use this while being stunned. I don't think you can purge yourself while stunned, but if you could time a stun coming in, you could already have the purifying smoke set to drop on you. So there is that. Alright, moving on to my favorite, because apparently I'm a rogue and I just didn't know it. The leather gear. Now, I like some parts of the leather gear, other parts not so much, and we'll talk about that. Alright, so let's start with the helmet here. Create a swirl of energy around you with a 5 meter radius for 2.5 seconds that damages enemies for 49 per 0.5 seconds. Enemies getting hit at least once will receive 30% less healing for 5 seconds. Now this doesn't continue to stack, because it's going to hit multiple times. It'll hit up to 10 times. Think of it as kind of like raging blades, Beyblades on the great axes. It hits the same amount of times as that. So you do get that effect. That's pretty nice. It's not a lot of damage, so I wouldn't get hung up too much on the damage. Again, we're looking at 8.3 gear, so we're looking at the absolute best it could possibly be, other than being masterpiece and overcharged. As far as the helmet goes, though, it does have again a little bit more item power than relic quality gear, so we get that extra energy and those extra hit points. Now, as far as here, I will actually show you guys this. So for the helm, 8.3 regular normal gear, we get max hit points of 556, and then we get 544 on current gear of the same quality. But that's just relic gear. So Avalonian gear is a tier above relic gear, and that's something that we'll have to think about. As far as the armor goes, now there are some builds out there, mainly the Bloodletter Suicide builds that use Spectre Jacket. Some of them use the Inferno Shield for Reflect. I personally like the Inferno Shield Reflect. If you're a Bloodletter Taproot kind of person, with Guardian boots, that sort of thing, then you're going to like the new leather gear just to run it like this. Running Inferno Shield, having that extra health is going to be pretty beneficial. I mean, these give 1113, whereas Spectre only gives 1088, so you're getting a little bit more health, about 25 more health. Not a Actually, I think that is exactly 25 more health. So you're getting 25 more health, not a ton. We'll see if price dictates on whether or not these are actually usable or not, or feasible just to have, is it worth it for that extra 25 health. But if you are running that Bloodletter build with Inferno Shield, then you might want to go with the extra health. Otherwise, just stick with your Spectre Jacket. As far as the ability on these go, this one's the weirdest new ability because it brings in some new mechanics that we haven't seen before. Increases your resistance and damage depending on your enemy's weapon for 5 seconds. Now, if your enemy has a magic weapon, it grants 136 magic resistance. Little bug there in the tooltip, and he's put a space between magic and resistance, and 20% magic damage. If they have a physical weapon, then you're going to gain the same amount in armor and 20% in physical damage. That part I don't necessarily like. I kind of wish it was just 20% damage across the board when you use this, and then you gain armor or magic resistance based on your enemy's weapon. Now, as far as being, in a multi, player fight, a Zerg, a 5v5 or something, you might want to pick the proper target to use this on, and that may or may not be easy to do in a fight. Now, versus mobs, it's going to be nice and sweet. You get 20% defense and you gain 28.571 damage versus mobs. Now, 28.571. Yep, even with outstanding, that number doesn't change, so that's just a number they happen to put in there. Outstanding will give you more HP though, because you get more item power. All right, so the leather armor, it's good if you're after that HP, but not so great for anything else. I'm not really fond of, if I am a physical damage type character, do I want to do this to, like I have to make sure that I hit a physical, player with it, someone who has a mace or a sword or something like that, and then of course I get no defense versus everyone who has a brimstone or something of that nature. I have to hit someone with a brimstone, but so that I can protect myself from all the incoming magic damage, yet I'm not going to be able to use the damage buff that comes off of it. So this one's gonna be a little bit hard to use. The part that is really horrible about it is it's got a 0.7 second cast time that you can break, and you cannot cast on the run. So if you do use this and you don't stand still when you go to activate it, then you're just going to waste your chest piece, and now you lost your defensive and your damage buff, everything. So that's something to think about. I don't like the 0.7 second cast time. I don't really understand why they put that in there, and I can't really see how this would be overpowered if it was just instant cast. So hopefully they'll do something about that, because just losing your chest piece seems pretty bad. As far as the boots go, the boots are pretty interesting. Now, if you read the patch notes, you'll notice that the chest in dungeons can't be open until a certain percentage of all the mobs in that dungeon have been killed. So the first thing I seen when I thought of these boots was, just ratting dungeons. Is this just going to be something that's going to allow people to rat dungeons? Because one of the things that makes me furious is I clear all the way to a boss just to see the chest has already been opened. Someone has already taken all the loot. At least I got fame, right? Yeah, and that's about all you can do is take that and move on. All right, so these boots give you an ability called Blind Spot. Grants invisibility and movement speed of 20% for 1 second. Your next attack or spell within 3 seconds will deal bonus damage. Now, in 8.3, this will deal 437 bonus damage. That's pretty good, but again, we have no way of seeing this gear in, say, tier 4, tier 5. So we don't know offhand on just how that damage scales. I guess we could do the math by creating flat 8, and then finding how much you get per item power as far as damage goes, and then doing some math from there. We could probably figure it out, but it's not a significant amount. However, the cooldown is like that of the cloth shoes. It is ridiculously low, and you can do this quite often. Now, for those of you that are used to running through dungeons, then you understand what I mean by, if we could just drop aggro on ourselves once every 10 seconds, you could continue on through a dungeon relatively easy. And I personally think that these may be really good for gankers. If you're just wanting to use something like run on your shoes, and then you happen to get someone to lead you into a dungeon or something like that, or you want to follow somebody into a dungeon. See, he interrupted my chest. So that's it's unfortunate. Yeah, if I hadn't used my swipe earlier, we'd have killed him. Um, but if you're going into a dungeon, being able to remove your should we actually fight this guy? Let's fight this guy. Alright, so let's use the leather, and then we'll use the cloth boots. What do you say? Alright, cloth helmet, cloth boots, leather chest. Oh, yeah. He's dead. He's so dead. Ready? Oh, yeah. He's fire now. Oh, man. We weren't ready. Interrupted. Ha ha ha. Alright. Dead. Alright, sweet. Again, I mean, the boots were up constantly. We had 10 seconds shaved off the beam, but now the beam's back up. You get an extra, like a ton of health off the leather armor. Pretty sweet. Okay, so that basically goes over all the all of the gear. As far as I can tell, I like the leather armor just for the health benefits of the leather armor and running it with Inferno Shield. I like the helmet because I think the helmet is actually going to be very usable. Having an interrupt on your helmet that does a ton of damage seems quite sweet. The cloth shoes actually worry me a little bit. I think they might be a little overpowered. Just being able to be immune to slows and roots in a Hellgate seems absolutely wonderful. Let's see if we can test the plate out really quick. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we'll test out the plate. Oh, okay. So he's probably gonna charge up here, and we'll see if we can purge him. Alright, so we're going to purge ourselves of his stacks. Alright, so yeah, even if he's hitting from behind me, it still blocks, and he gets that debuff on him. So that's pretty cool. Oh, he did do it. Alright, still killed him. Alright, sweet. Hey, good bloodletters. Good weapon, man. Bloodletter is just a good weapon. Best of the daggers, guys. Best of the daggers. Anyway, so I mean, we did hit the movement speed bonus off the boots, which I honestly can't believe we happened to hit that. So that was pretty sweet. The helmet, we purged his stacks off of him. Meanwhile, you know, making sure that if he would have been using the or purged his stacks off of us, if he would have been using the assassin spirit, we would have purged his stacks off that way. Here, I'll give him one more. So he's putting stacks on himself. I don't know if we got him or not. Oh, we did get him. We did get them. So he hit us for next to nothing. We'll just use deflection here. Oh, the knockback got us. He's probably going to get us with this one. We need one more hit, guys. Alright. Even in plate. Poor Death Givers. Gotta have that Stalker helm, or they just can't close the deal. Anyway, the plate armor's interesting. I don't think that it's going to be very feasible. The cloth helm, good. The leather armor, good for the health. Cloth shoes, probably a little bit busted. The leather shoes, if you like using run, or you like using refreshing spirit or sprint, it's going to be great. I like this for when I'm soloing dungeons. I like refreshing sprint. The rest of the time I like having run. And if you're in any type of situation where you might be fighting players amongst mobs, being able to drop aggro on yourself, putting that aggro on the enemy is going to be crucial, right? Like, you're going to be able to do some massive damage to people just by putting putting the enemy into a situation where the mobs are all of a sudden on them. And then the extra bonus of your next attack or spell having damage added onto that, which that damage is also increased by your other abilities and things. So, but also reduced by your enemies' defenses and things. So, I went over why the rebrand earlier logical order. I basically don't want to be locked into MTG and I want to be able to play Diablo 4 when it comes out. Alright? Like, I want to be able to play Diablo 4 without anybody being surprised that I'm not playing Magic. So, oh my goodness, dude. Really? Let's fight this. We don't even have abilities yet. Alright, dude, come on. He'll go get something else and come back and try again. So we're gonna have to move on from here. But if you guys want plenty of practice dueling, you can do that. It's pretty sweet. So that's the gist of everything here. We're gonna swap over to our other character, and we're gonna go into the new map and the gathering goods, right? Because the gathering thing's kind of interesting to me, right? they've made some major changes to the gathering side of things. They've also added, as you can see, I get to wear my legendary adventurer's gear, which honestly, as of right now, the new looks and everything, they're not that impressive. Um, they're okay, but honestly, I would rather just wear the new Avalonian gear. I mean, the new Avalonian gear looks sweet, but you can, get all of the holiday and special stuff. Can't quite do transmogs, right? Transmogs in the normal sense of things. Transmogs are, hey, if I find this gear, I can now make any other gear look like this gear. They're not allowing that. Okay, so you don't get to do that. But if you do still have, the dresses or the robes or something like that, you are going to be able to wear those. Wow, look at that gut, right? Just look at that gut, the innkeeper's shirt. So if you have, some of the old stuff, or if you want to buy some of the stuff, they have some transmogs on the market to sell. Again, as far as vanity goes, there's still the option in the in-game menu to go down to, where did they move vanity? Is it under general? Okay, so they've changed the menu here a little bit. I didn't actually know about this, but they've actually kind of put everything in one general spot. So let's see if we can find vanity really quick. Where is vanity? Vanity, here we go. You can have vanity either always by default or only in safe areas. Um, Personally, I would rather have um, only in safe areas. I don't know. On yourself, it's always, and it looks like in any area that would be hostile, you're going to be able to see your opponent's hostile. Um, you're going to be able to see their gear if you're in a hostile area. All right, so some new things that we got is I was unable to find an 8.3, guys, so forgive me on that one. But I was able to find some 8.2 stone. I found some 7.1, some 8.1 stone, so you guys can check that out. And I'll just get rid of. That's right. Just throwing all these wonderful mats, just throwing them away. And some of you may notice that I am currently in a territory. The territories are much different than they used to be. For one, there's not as many entrances. A lot, like right now, you can enter a territory from multiple different ways, and now that's not going to be the case in Queen. You're going to have to, if you want to do these mages, you're going to have to come up into this choke in order to get to this mage. And once you get into here, it's also the only way out. You cannot get out of this choke any other way. So it's going to make defending your mages a lot more viable. Right now, defending mages is very difficult. And I'll ride around this a little bit, and show you guys what it looks like. You can get in from the very north here. All right. Now this particular territory is a little hard to get in from the north. You can get in from the north and right up through here, and that's a way to get to the tower. You can get into the tower from the south as well, but that's pretty much it. Again, you'll get choked up here if you come up here to fight the mages. It'd be easy to defend this stairwell and this corridor here. So a couple chokes, they have kind of narrowed things down, so it's going to be a little easier to defend the mages. Now there are two mages here in the center that are less defendable, but defensible, maybe. But we also have farming plots here on this particular territory, which is pretty cool, right? Like I like the farming plots. And the Terry's quite huge. I'm technically still in Terry. Right here, I'm still in Terry. You can see that I have the buff. You're inside your guild's watchtower. So, like, the Terry extends all the way out to here. Let's see if it'll... Okay, so it stops there. But here, I'm technically in Terry. I wonder if we can gather the stone while we're in Terry. Now, I normally... Oh. I normally would not try to gather this stone. Unless, okay, it's not going to let me gather it in Terry or not. But what you guys are going to notice, those of you that are stone gatherers, and you see these beautiful T8 stones sticking up out of the ground, you're used to going over and hitting them and getting what is it, 27 off of a T8. T8s now only have 2 pieces of resource on them. 2. That's it. You're gonna get 2. Oh, but look, here's another T8 stone, right? You can get another 2. And oh, look, an 8-1 tree, right? Only 2 logs on the tree. So I mean it's kind of sad, right? Like when you're used to getting 27, or a tier 7, you're used to getting was it 23 and 27, other way around. I'm probably confused, so somebody straighten that up for me in the comments. But they're everywhere, right? I don't know necessarily about the respawn on these yet. I haven't played around with it enough to actually see how often they're going to come back, but you'll notice that in a T8 zone you're going to find T8 resources quite abundantly. Look at this. Look at this. Look, in this one screenshot right here, I've got a T8 tree, T8 ore, another T8 ore, another T8 ore, a T8 8-1 stone, another T8 1 stone on one screen. Okay. Oh, look, just below, another T8.1 stone, 2 more T8 stones. So even though they've reduced it a lot, they've also made it to where you're not spending as much time in the same spot. Now this also means that you guys ain't going to be farming a T8 tree for T8 gatherers anymore. In the past, you found a T8 tree, especially if it was like an 8-1, you could pretty much hide your ganking group around it and get rich just off of the gatherers as people come to try to get it. And they would be there for a while. So as far as T7 goes, you'll notice that T7, even T7 stone, only has 3 nodes on, or 3 ticks per node. So that's a wee bit sad. That does kind of break my heart to see those numbers go down as much. It's also, I think it's gonna hurt the excitement level of, hey, there's a T8 resource. Now T8 resources are just going to be another thing that you go gather, right? Like it's not going to be exciting when you see one of these stones. These stones are going to be absolutely everywhere. So I mean, if you hold a T8 area, you're just going to have access to to T8 materials. You'll just need to go out and gather them. Now again, the respawn on these is definitely going to be the telltale factor here on how good this is, and I'm sure they'll tweak that a little. Oh yes, great. It upgrades to 0.2 the moment it's gone. Wonderful. My luck. That would be that would like really tick me off if we'd have been in game and that would have happened. Yeah, you hit the last tick and it goes to 0.2. Yeah, of course that wouldn't happen in the normal game right now. Anyway, so yeah, they have dramatically increased the hell? We gotta go find another T8.1 stone, guys. Ooh. Come here, dude. I haven't killed a mob yet. So mobs are the same. Are you gonna go point two as well? No. I gotta go find another 8.1 stone. I know there was some over here that I just didn't gather earlier. Ah, here we go. Does this one go 8.2 as soon as it's gone? I'm very curious. This is bothering me, guys. I've gotta. Let's see if it does it. Okay, so that's a weird little bug, and we've tested it quite a few times now. So that's strange that instantly jumps to blue sparklies as soon as you gather the 8.1s. Doubt there's a way to to force that to happen, but yeah, that's weird. Wish we could find an 8.2 and see if it jumps to an 8.3. Anyway, that is the new changes to gathering. Now you may be asking, what's special about the stone, right? Like why do we care? Like what am I going to make with 0.1 and 0.2 stone? You're going to make regular stone blocks with it. Now an 8.3 stone block or a 0.3 stone will give you 8 blocks once it's refined. However, it will take 8 tier 7 stone blocks in order to refine it. So there's still going to be a tier 7 in every T8 block made. So that's not going to change. So it's still going to take the same amount out of the economy every time that you craft one. However, crafting stone blocks with 8.3 stone is just going to make 8 regular stone blocks. So that's in that aspect. I forget how many this will make. I forget how many the 0.2s will make. So unfortunately, I don't have that information for you guys right offhand. It's in the patch notes, though. You can go check it out. Alright, so my guild has a hideout. They said they had a hideout. So far, I can't see the hideout showing up on the maps. But the new map is beautiful, and let me tell you guys, it is huge. Absolutely huge. The world's going to spread out a lot. I think according to everything we've heard, the big idea is to move out into the black zones, to have your guilds move out into the black zones. You won't see near as many people out in the in the towns as you used to. I expect the red zones to die quite a bit as people move out into the black zones, but it's going to open up the the royal cities and everything to be more for beginners and for trolls that want to go prey on beginners. But that's just how that works. But as you move out into the black zones, you'll notice that there's a lot of new features here. For one, we have the new towns. Let's see if I can find one of the new towns. We have one relatively close here. We have Morgana's Rest. Now, when you go to these towns, there's not much in them. There's a repair station. There's a local market where you can sell your goods at that local market, and it doesn't connect to anything else. And then there's a bank for you. Now, if you have come to one of these towns and then you die, you're going to respawn at the nearest outlands or outpost. I'm just going to keep calling these outposts. The nearest outpost that you have reached. Now, as far as I know, there's not an easy way to like suicide back to a royal city. From what I understand and what I've read on the forums, there There are going to be mounts and things of that nature here in the marketplace, but I expect that they're going to have to find a better way to allow us to get back to the royal cities. Um, so that is something to think about. You might want to like take some extra stuff with you when you come out to the black zones. But again, the idea is to be living out here in the black zones. Now, just look at the sheer size of this area. There's a ton of zones right here. I am currently looking at one little section of the map, right? Absolute ton of zones. Oh, now look, there's that much more, right? And then more, more, more. There are a huge number of zones. Now, as you get closer into the center here, you are going to see more and more T8 zones. But a T8 zone is not necessarily right beside a T7 zone. This T8 zone's got a T5 zone beside it, which has then got another T8 zone, and then another T5 zone, then another T8. But the T8s do kind of circle around the inner ring here, where Avalon is supposed to be, where the mist haven't quite pushed away yet. But there's also T8 zones further back, T7 zones, more T7 zones, and then and that's basically how this ring works. You've got T8 and T7 zones lining the outer ring, with more and more T7 and T8 zones kind of scattered all over the place. Here's another T7 zone, another T8 zone, 7 6 7 5. Like they really tried to make it to where there's not just some. It's almost random. It's almost like they randomized it, but they clearly didn't. There's tactics and everything else to it, but it's no longer the way it used to be, where you could just look at things and go, okay, well, here's circling vultures. Everything around circling vultures is also a T8 zone. Here's rib cage. Everything around rib cage is what, T7. Rib cage is T7. Everything around it. It's not like that anymore, where you would have that center hub zone, and then every zone around it would be that same level but of a different biome. Here you have biomes mixed in, and 1 minute you may be in a steppes biome, the next moment you may be over in the mountains, or you may be in the desert. And then you've got little nooks of forest stuck out in the middle of some steppes, and then we've got some little nooks of swamps in here. We have castles in these swamps. Fiber, of course, fiber gathering stuff. What is the big red tree? I'm curious what the big red tree is. I'll have to check that out. Maybe it's something special. But here's something that I wanted to point out, that I really don't know what this is going to be, and I'm half tempted to take a little bit of a dungeon dive over here and go find out. But this is a T8 zone with a static dungeon. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty exciting to me, because static dungeons are typically a tier higher. Any random dungeons found in that static dungeon are typically a tier higher than the zone that they're found in. So a T7 dungeon with a static in it would then have T8 dungeons inside that static. So do we have T9 dungeons here? Are we going to be fighting elite forces here? Is this the equivalent of 8.1, 8.2 maps? That's definitely something that we'll have to check into. I'll see if I can get back to you guys on that. Maybe I'll even make a separate stream about going down into that. Maybe we'll try to go in there and see what's up. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover for you guys. I'm going to do hideouts in a separate video once our guild gets our hideout up and everything's working. I'll talk about hideouts a little bit, but the other YouTubers and things have pretty much covered hideouts pretty well. I wanted to cover the gear because no one seemed to bring to light the idea that this gear is higher than relic tier artifacts, which means it has a higher IP, which means more HP, more resistance, more of all those things. So I wanted to point that sort of thing out. I wanted to take a close emphasis on how broken some of the pieces were, whereas some of the other pieces are almost unusable. At least I can't currently see those being used in any viable way when in their current state. Hopefully a lot of these things will see a rework before we actually see Queen hit the live servers. But as of right now, this is what they're showing us. So maybe the Queen will do an update and they'll let us play around with some stuff after they've made some tweaks. I do not believe for one moment that SBI will be leaving things exactly as they are. However, that could happen. I mean, we have seen games launch in the past where, hey, what was on the test server is actually what's going live. We're not going to change a damn thing, and then bam, you end up with that. So we'll see how that works. As of right now, though, this is what we've got. So hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was a bit of a quick stream here. I think it took a little bit over an hour just talking about the new changes. As far as resources go, let me know what you think about resources no longer having 23 to 27 stacks on them. What do you think that's going to change as far as like gathering goes, as far as ganking goes, ganking gatherers and things like that? What do you think the changes will be there? What do you think the changes to stone will mean? Because if you gather an 8.3 ore, yes, that's only going to have 2 ticks on it, and you're only going to get, well, you're not even going to be able to make a single bar with that. You're going to get 0 bars off of an 8.3 ore now. That's kind of scary. I will bring up this really quick. Enchantment rates still about the same. I mean, granted, that is by cluster, but I am in a tier 8 cluster, and these are about the same enchantment rates that we find in the outer ring of like Cumbria and things of that nature, Flesh Eater Morass, those areas. So not quite Mercia level enchantments, but 18% still pretty good enchantment rate. Let's check that fancy T8 zone down here. What's the enchantment rate? Only 11% enchantment rate on that one. Let's find another T8 zone. See if we can find a T8 zone with a higher enchantment rate. 22% here on the desert, and at 22% we're still getting the exact same enchantment on an 8.3. It's a 0.2% or 0.20%, 0.2% chance at enchanting. So yeah, that's not much, right? Like, so you're still not going to find a ton of 8.3s, and now when you do finally get lucky enough to find one of those, it's only going to have 2 pieces of loot on it, two ticks, which is kind of sad, right? Kind of sad. That being said, these zones, these tier 8 zones, no longer go tier 6, 7 and 8. They are just tier 7 and tier 8 in these tier 8 zones. If you go to a tier 7 zone here, you'll get tier 5, 6, and 7. And then if you go to, let's find a lower one, let's find a tier 6. If you go to a tier 6 zone, you will get tiers 4, 5, and 6. And then if you go to a tier 5 zone, that's right, in the black zone, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, tier 2 materials. That's right, you will never have to go back to the Royals again. So that is something to think about. And that is going to wrap it up for us. That's the last little tidbit I wanted to talk about, other than I guess each zone here has its local production bonuses, and it changes per zone. So your guild, due to like based on what crafters you have in your guild, things like that, maybe these percentages will have something to do with your guild taking a particular area or putting a hideout in a particular zone, just so that you can have bonuses to making plate shoes, or bonuses to refining hide. You may want to find a zone that you can refine hide in for a higher benefit, that happens to be close to a desert. So like if we wanted to take this one, and hide is really good here, there so happens to be a desert next to it. So that could be a thing. Having a hideout in both locations might be absolutely wonderful for you and your guild, because you can bring the rock from one over into the other. But these are all things that you and your guild will have to think about when it comes time to staking your claim on Queen, on the new Avalonian black zones. So all things to take into consideration: enchantment rates, resources, what is good where. All of those things are something to take in consideration. It may be worth it for you to carry your goods from one of your guild hideouts to another guild hideout, that sort of thing. Last thing I do want to check is there's no crafting. Like, I don't even know why I'm checking, because there's no crafting in Morgana's Rest. Yeah, no crafting, so no drop down. So there's nothing you can do here. This is literally just a safe spot that you can go. They do have these little, like you see this little yellow marker right here. It's just a little pool that you can go up to, and you turn invisible for like 45 seconds to a minute, something like that. It'll allow you to get out of the zone without being seen. So you become invisible to everyone, and then you can just kind of leave the area, and they don't know where you went. So that's going to be great, because we all know that there's always portal spies sitting around, going, okay, hey, this person's heading out, let's go for it. As far as the royal zones go, man, I just keep coming up with more things to talk about, right? As far as the royal zones go, there was a nice little change to the royal zones that some of you might be happy with, and others might not. I will go to Limhurst, because that was my royal city, and I was quite fond of it. You will notice that Limhurst now has quite a few more yellow zones. It used to be just Yew Wood was a yellow zone. Now Hornbeam Wood and Willow Wood are also yellow zones. So that's a nice new change, which also means you can make it from Bridgewatch all the way to Limhurst without ever hitting a red zone. So that's something to think about. I am a little bit curious about this area. For those of you that don't know, this is where one of the faction outposts is, and it is now in a yellow zone. So you could potentially do faction runs from city to city and stay in yellow, I think. I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea or not, but it'll definitely make faction transports easier, which will produce more hearts of each faction, which will help make more faction capes, which should potentially drive the price of faction capes down. That being said, as those prices go down, it'll be less and less worth it to actually do the faction run. So we'll have to see exactly how the faction runs pan out. So yeah. If you guys have anything like that you want me to do in particular on the test server, please leave it in the comments. Let me know. If you guys have yet to play Albion online, then there's a link in the description box. Check it out. The game is free to play. It does have a monthly subscription service that you can use that will, like all games, it'll greatly benefit your progress if you have the subscription. I highly recommend that you get the subscription, and you can pay for that subscription in game with in-game currency, so you're not even bound to to pay cash. In fact, haven't paid for my subscription in cash in quite some time. Just using in-game currency to pay for it seems to be reasonable enough. So the game is free to play. Even if you want to stick that first $10 in there, so you're not like rushed that first month, to kind of come up with your way of making money and things like that. So the game's free to play. So check the link in the description box. Check it out, and if you decide that you like it, get the monthly premium. And then by the time your first month's over, there's 1,001 guides out there on how to make your first few millions of silver, which will then allow you to just live off of your in-game actions. So pretty cool game. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys like the information that I got for you guys. Other than that, that's all I've got for today. Now, for those of you wanting to see some magic content, I do have magic content coming up tomorrow. We'll be streaming around 1 Central Time. My new streaming hours are midday. We'll be streaming Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. So for those of you that want to join in on the streams, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 1, and then we'll try to get some some videos out on some other days. But we'll see you guys tomorrow, where we'll be playing Magic the Gathering. So if you guys like the Albion content, let me know in the comment section. If you want to see some Magic, join us on tomorrow for or yeah, on the morrow. There we go. Join us on the morrow, and we'll. It's not even on the morrow, is it? Because it's like, you know what? I'm just going to skip this line of thought. Thank you for watching. My name's Kilo. We'll see you next time.